Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 208, F9, Lap 9. Feels like there should be more. Got nothing more to say. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too. And this episode's brought to you by The Jacob, Gracious Senior Living. Experience vibrant seniors living, that's weird, seniors living with all-inclusive amenities at The Jacob, thejacob.ca.
Well, shout out to the Canadian Jacob, and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. After the break, we'll be talking about F9 for the last time for a while.
Hopefully.
Thankfully. There's an upside that, even though he wouldn't get to it for a while, like the Rock is not in F9, so we'll never talk about this on Nate's show, so like we got more time. We got obviously infinite times to talk about this.
Because we did Out Now with Aaron and Abe about F9 too, yeah. So there was like even a bonus episode. And
we're going to have to do at some point, whenever Mike Manzi lets us know that he wants to do it, we have to do this for Charlize too.
Oh, that's right. That's very right.
Whatever, Joe. But extracurricular activities, what have you been up to since we last spoke?
One of the main things I did was I took your great advice, and Rachel and I went to go see Dune in in XD, which is kind of like a step under IMAX, but close. It was delightful. You had mentioned something to me in a message that I kind of thought in passing, but then really understood when I was there, that you said you should see it in IMAX or whatever for the scope of the screen and the sound. And you said that, and I was just like, okay, whatever, right? Sound cool.
Yep.
Definitely a movie that the sound plays a huge part in, and is a much better experience with the sound. I have pretty decent speakers that I made myself. I would not have held a candle to how good it sounds in a beautiful theater like that. Excellent recommendation. Thank you. We love the movie, obviously. Big Timothée Chalamet fan, big Zendaya fan. At the same time, because this has so much overlap, we didn't mean to do this, but we were looking for a new show, kind of just binge through, and we started C on Apple TV Plus.
Oh, with Momoa, yeah. I have not seen that.
It also has Jason Momoa.
Yep.
Also has Dave Bautista.
Okay.
It's kind of set in the future, but in a post-apocalyptic world, so it was pretty much the same thing, except
sure.
The premise of C is that everyone goes blind in the future. There was some kind of thing, an event that everyone is blind now. Yep. But Jason Momoa plays, badass guy that kills everyone. Pretty much the same thing. So we were laughing about that.
Well, that's kind of what he always plays, though, right? That's Khal Drogo. That's everything. That's just
exactly. Yeah, it's the same character across the board. But a cool thing about C that I didn't know, that they're there's all these places in it and all these things in it. At one point, they reference Pittsburgh, and I was like, that's kind of fucking weird. And we started, we finished the first season, we're on the second season, and in the intro to the second season, there's an old bus because it's post-apocalyptic, and the bus says Pittsburgh across the side of it, and I was like, who the fuck from Pittsburgh is putting all these things in there? I texted my mom hey, do you know who was working on this or something like that, because there's all these, it's small town, they always have rumors and stuff, and she's like, oh no, they shot a bunch of it here. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, it was at the studio down the street from our house, down the street 5-10 minutes away. They shot a bunch of things there, and I remember Jason Momoa was in Pittsburgh because I saw all my friends posting, if we run into Jason Momoa, a bunch of girls, I can't
I'm going to challenge him to girls, okay, I was going to say, I'm going to challenge him to an arm wrestle. I mean,
no, it was girls being I hope Jason Momoa is here, so, he falls in love with me, these kind of things, right?
Yep.
And I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we were enjoying C. It's not, super great. I'm finding it enjoyable. It's interesting, better than I expected going into it. Also, it's, a ton of places in Pittsburgh and scenes from Pittsburgh, and they reference it a bunch, so
cool.
Plus 3,000 for me. Oh, sports gambling got legalized here, so Rachel and I have been gambling on everything and doing pretty well. So
on the ballot today in New Jersey, we're recording this on is it election day in your state too, or is it's not everywhere?
I voted. I already voted on the way home from work.
On the ballot for New Jersey is apparently it's illegal for these apps to let you bet on bowl games where a New Jersey school is in them. Something.
Okay.
So on the ballot is should we legalize that? I'm like, yeah, why not?
What the fuck does it matter? Yeah.
Right.
Because you can bet on the Devils and all these things, but you can't bet on college bowl games. That's like the only restriction.
Well, you can't bet on college bowl games if a New Jersey team is participating in that bowl game.
That's a weird, like,
I don't know, man. It's,
it's
at
a
some
weird
point somebody thought
law.
it was a good
Yeah.
idea. So that was on the ballot, and something about like raffles. Like there's like two things they were both about gambling. And I'm like, all right, man,
Yeah,
legalize it all.
yeah, right. It doesn't matter. That's pretty cool though. Good for you. There's like a bunch of promos on these apps, right? We've been using FanDuel, and there's like always like these promos, and like Rachel does really fucking good, man. She's just lucky, and between her and I, like we've been doing pretty good. So I was happy about that. It makes it fun, and you know, just stupid things to pass time. But that's
Cool.
pretty much it. What about you? What have you been up to?
So I finished Hooptober, and I wound up. So my list was way too big. My list was 56 movies. If you don't remember, Hooptober was
Yes.
the list of horror movies. Like there's like these rules that you have to pick movies that you haven't seen that fit
Foreign
certain
films,
criteria, whatever.
yeah.
Yep. And so you're supposed to do 31, and or like the minimum's 31. I did like 56, and I got through 42, which is respectable. I got through three-quarters of it,
That's huge. Yeah, it's a ton.
especially since I started way too late. But next year, I know like don't go over like 35. Just like keep it sort of simple.
And start like September, right?
Start in mid-September when you're allowed to start, as opposed to like, oh, it's October 1st. Like I have other things going. Whatever. Yes.
Yeah.
But I finished the Friday the 13th franchise, and did you see the reboot that came out like 12 years ago?
No, I don't remember. Maybe
It's
not.
really good. I mean, it's different. Like it kind of doesn't feel like a Friday the 13th, Jesus, Fast and Furious movie. It kind of doesn't feel like a Friday the 13th movie, but also kind of does. And I actually really liked it. So that was the last one. So either tonight or tomorrow, I'm starting the Halloween franchise to follow along with the podcast I've been
cool.
listening to. So
Yeah, nice.
I've seen maybe five of the Halloween movies. I've seen the first three. And then whatever terrible one you picked, was that H2O for Film Club?
I love H2O.
Or was
I
it
love
Resurrection?
Resurrection. The both of those are good. I think Resurrection is the reality TV show one, and I kind of like that one better. H2O.
I don't remember. I saw one of the. I'll find it. I mean, I don't remember it, but like
Yeah, those
4,
are
5, 6, I think are like quote unquote like real ones, and I haven't seen those. And then I haven't seen like the Rob Zombie ones. I saw the new one, so I'll get to them at all. That's one at a time, 1 week at a
wasn't
time.
Garrett or Dan, one of them was just tweeting about like every time they rewatch the Rob Zombie one, they like it more and more. Somebody, one of the two of them was just rewatching it for Halloween and was
Let me
saying,
find out based on Letterboxd. Dan, Dan
Okay.
Scully likes
Yep,
it more.
yep, that's who I was thinking of. I knew
Yeah.
one of them was just tweeting about the Rob Zombie one, saying like, and like based on the tweet, I was like, you know what, I should probably revisit that. Like,
Yeah, it seems mixed. Past guest Austin Will Southern looks like he loves it. Liam is like the harshest Letterboxd critic that I'm friends with. He doesn't like anything except for the High School Musical movies. So, I mean, hey man, whatever.
and Zeph, yeah, whatever floats
Yes,
your boat. Bud.
exactly.
Yeah,
He's given like 20 movies 5 stars and 3 of them the High School Musical. I'm just like, Liam. Okay, man.
that's awesome. Good for him.
I saw three movies in theaters since last time. I saw Last Night in
Wow.
Soho. So last week we
Was
did
it
Baby
good?
Driver.
Everybody loved it.
It was really good. I did not love it. I really, really like it a lot. I like Baby Driver more. I like Scott Pilgrim more. But like
Okay.
this, I still really liked it.
That's fair.
So I would say see it. I don't know. This is not one like I don't think you have to see in theaters,
Yeah.
unlike Dune. But
Yes.
I would say see Last Night in Soho. It's cool. It's horror. It's sort of the musical sort of thing. It's all Edgar Wright thing. Really liked it. Recommend that. I saw The French Dispatch, the new Wes Anderson movie, which nobody's talking about. Like I don't know if people know that there's a new Wes Anderson movie.
I saw the first commercial for it last night during like Monday Night Football. Like for the first, and I was like, this feels like a Wes Anderson movie, and they were
Yep.
like the new Wes Anderson movie, and I was like, how is it just
I don't know, man.
previews now? But go ahead.
Yeah, and like it's in most theaters now. It was in like some theaters last week.
Timothy Chalamet, right?
So it's like an anthology. Like there's 3 sort of like 40-ish or 30 to 40 minute stories. I liked it. I think it's maybe his worst movie. But again, like
Ugh. Okay.
it's not bad. Like if you like his
Yeah,
movies, you're gonna like
yeah.
this. But I think it's whatever. And then I saw Antlers, that new horror movie that looks like an A24, like sort of moody atmospheric with Kerry Russell and
Okay.
Jesse Plemons, who's from Breaking Bad, but also from
Yeah.
Game Night and everything.
Meth Damon,
Bad. Antlers bad. Disappointing. Just
just across the board, just
so like horror movies are supposed to be like subtext, like they're all about something, right? Like it's just like it's a creature, but the creature represents whatever. Like It Follows is about like STDs or whatever, but it's like about
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Antlers is about the opioid epidemic, which would be fine, but like in the movie, there's also an opioid crisis. It's like, well, don't like do the thing.
it's too on the nose type situation. Yeah.
Pick one. Don't show. I don't know. It was just fun. Whatever. Oh, I watched this movie, a Roman Polanski movie called Repulsion, which is kind of it's a very sort of influential on Last Night in Soho horror movie
Okay.
where Catherine Deneuve sort of loses her mind a little bit. from 1965. Really, really good. So that's a Criterion movie, so that's really good. I just started. I'm not far enough into it to actually like comment on it, but I started watching Star Wars Visions on Disney Plus, the like Japanese anime, Asian inspired Star Wars.
People love
In
it.
the first episode, I was just like, why does his voice sound familiar? Because I'm just watching the dub because that's just the default on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
The first episode is kind of like a Lone Wolf and Cub-esque, where like this guy is sort of defending a town against these people who come in and want to take it over or whatever.
Okay.
And the villain, like the head villain, the woman who wants to take it over is Lucy Liu. I'm like, that's cool.
Oh,
but
that is cool.
The main guy who's defending the town is Brian T, aka DK. So I'm just like, oh, okay.
So
cool.
DK is the hero. That's cool.
Yeah, so he's only in like one episode because that's, every episode's standalone. So like episode 2 I watched today, which has like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bobby Moynihan from SNL, like they're in it, but like I was like, oh, DK, cool, all right, cool.
It's cool that you recognized his voice.
I couldn't place the voice. I was like, this sounds familiar. I don't know who it is, but then I looked it up and
Yeah, you're much better. Like we talked about this, but you're much better at the voices than me. Like Rachel's good at the voices. Like
I can't do faces at all. Voices
yeah, and I'm the complete opposite. Like if I see a person, I'm like, I think that's this person. Voices, like once you put an animation in front of it, like I totally lose who they are. Like you could tell me they were in the movie. I'm like, which character? You're like the main one. I was like, oh god, I didn't know.
I think that's all the stuff that I watched. And then on Sunday, friend of the show, Melissa Lynham, had a small Halloween party at her sister's house.
That's cute.
Because her sister's birthday was on Halloween as well. So we had some, I think friends that, for sure friends that you've met. We played some board games, played some video games, watched some football, had some snacks. It was a nice day. So that was Halloween. And then I had some trick-or-treaters. Do you get trick-or-treaters? Because your road is not exactly ideal for trick-or-treating.
So to explain what Joey's saying is I live on like the east edge of a neighborhood. So like my road is the eastest road.
Like if you only see your house, you're like, oh yeah, you live in a neighborhood. But then like if you like zoom out on the street, it's just like, oh, that's not really like a trick-or-treating street.
Yes. So there's like actually probably like 3 or 4 houses on my block, which doesn't like makes it sound like fancy or something, but it's not, because there's like a business like
it's businesses, it's mixed
next
use,
to me and across the street, and there's like space, and then there's like a mosque or something, like some kind of like thing, religious thing. So like my street sucks. Every street over is like just all row houses, right? Like that would be like the prime trick-or-treating spot. So actually we just didn't turn our light on. We sat out in the hot tub and watched the Sunday night football game, and Rachel saw one small group of kids walk by, but we saw that was it. It would have been like 3 children, because we're like, this is a shitty street. Like I would pass out candy, but it's also a shitty street, so I wouldn't want kids to come over here just for my house. It would just be like a way out of the way walk for no reason.
Yeah, so like the first year that I was here, this is my 4th Halloween. The first year I was here, I had a bunch of trick-or-treaters.
You have a good neighborhood.
I do have a good neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then the second year, I went to the movies because it was the first night that I could see Parasite. And I'm like, I want to see Parasite like as soon as I can. So like I was just like not home. So I saw Parasite in some other movie. And then last year was COVID. And so like I was out walking during the day, because last year was a Saturday, this year Halloween was a Sunday.
Yes.
People were out, but I was also like, this is kind of weird. And like I was again in my sort of paranoid, like I'm just going to like close the windows, turn off the lights, whatever. I'm just going to pretend I'm not home. And then this year I was like, I'm not actually home, and I'm still going to buy candy, because like even before, because the Sunday thing, it's weird. It's like, do kids come at like noon or 2 or 4 or night? It's just like, I don't know when people are gonna. Like, I know they're not gonna be there.
You have to find your neighborhood's like designated time.
I looked it up. They don't do designated times.
That's so weird. Okay, go ahead.
Just whatever happens, whatever goes.
Okay.
So I knew that I was like leaving at like 1:30 to go to Melissa's sister's house, and so I gotta have candy. So I bought candy early in the week, or like the weekend before, and then I ate all the candy. I was like, motherfuck.
Well
and
played.
So I went out on Sunday morning, and like everywhere is sold out, because everybody, like, apparently
It's
the
back.
day before,
Yeah.
like on Saturday it was all like half off, because it's just like, we need to get rid of that. Because also Sunday, like some places have candy, but it was like Christmas candy, and I'm like, that's kind of weird. And like it wasn't individually, like I wouldn't be against it, but like it wasn't individually wrapped.
Yeah.
It was just like Christmas colored M&Ms. I'm like, I can't give out like loose M&Ms to kids.
Yeah, COVID likes this, right? Like
No,
that's,
right. So I go to Target and I get like, they have a couple like weird, I'm like, I'm gonna get candy that I like but don't want to like overindulge on. So I got Mounds and Milky Way, which I'm like, I like these, but I'm not gonna eat like 10 of them. I'll have like
You
one
were
or
the
two of the little
Mounds
ones.
house, which I love, but like children.
I would not get Mounds by choice, but there was very limited options. But then I
Fair.
got like 6 or 7 of the like 99-cent like movie theater boxes and put those in too.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I get home at like 7:45. I'm like, I'm there for like half an hour. Like nobody's like, the football game's about to start. Then I hear the doorbell, and like in the span of like 10 minutes, I got like 6 kids. Like that's all I got. But like all the big candy basically went.
Cool.
I'm like, okay,
Good.
cool. So
Awesome.
like we got big candy and also some of the little candy. So
Yeah.
I got to plan. Like I can't buy Reese's in advance because the Reese's is not going to last the week.
No.
And what was the other thing that I ate a lot of? Oh, Kit Kat. Like those are probably my two go-to like easy to eat whatever.
Top tier. I agree. Those are the
stars. And then I also got Starburst because I'm like, I can't just have chocolate. I want to have like a non-chocolate in case. And then I just was like, well, I got Starburst here and I'm just watching movies. Like I got to eat all the Starburst. So, fuck.
That's awesome. I was trying to celebrate my favorite holiday and get day after Halloween candy, and Rachel said the stores were wrecked as well, and I couldn't get leftover Halloween candy that nobody bought. So hopefully next year is a more bleak year and nobody buys the candy, so I can buy it at half price the day after. Apparently it was wrecked everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because also, like, Christmas, the Christmas creep starts earlier and earlier. And
God damn, I hate it. As someone that loves Thanksgiving, I just want to say, can we please respect Thanksgiving?
Well, the thing is that Thanksgiving, like, stores don't, like, populate things for Thanksgiving, right? There's, like, Halloween stuff they put out, and there's Christmas stuff they put out. Just, like, Halloween is just, or Thanksgiving is just Black Friday adjacent, right? So,
if you celebrate just straight to Christmas, you should not be allowed to celebrate Thanksgiving. No turkeys for you. We should take your turkey card away, and you're done. That's it. If you want to celebrate Christmas, go ahead, but no Thanksgiving then. You don't get it.
Wow. Damn.
That's how I feel.
Okay, fair enough.
You did respect Thanksgiving. The day after Thanksgiving, you could start Christmas. That's fine by me. I don't care, but just respect it until it happens.
We have a Patreon page, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, West Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden, Renato DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all so much for supporting the $5 a month level or above.
Haley had a birthday like last week, and I forgot.
Happy birthday.
I forgot to say it on the last episode, but happy birthday, Haley. And she also got a new car, and it was really cool. She sent me a picture of it, so.
Cool.
Yep, very awesome. Happy birthday, Haley.
If you want to know, well, this episode there's one more episode this lap, which is the tune-up, and there's a bonus episode next week, too, for the Patreon, which we'll announce at the end of this episode. But if you want to get that bonus episode, if you want to get all the bonus episodes and know, get movie picks or whatever, toofast2forever.com. We also have a store, toofast2forever.shop. So here's a little behind the scenes. The store, we don't care if you buy the stuff or not, but the domain renewal for toofast2forever.shop is coming up, and it's $37. And that's not a lot of money.
But we don't make $37 from the store.
I think we've probably, earnestly made less than $37 in profit on everything we've sold, and that includes probably making close to $20 on shirts that you and I have bought.
Yes, exactly.
Because we make like $2 or $3 a shirt. Like, again, if you have it in your heart, if you have someone in your life who you want to surprise this holiday season, buy them a thing so we can get the $37 renewal, because the only reason I bring it up is because it's a very specific amount that is both not a lot of money and also way too much money for the vanity URL of it all.
37 just seems like too much.
Yep.
But we get that it's not, but at the same time it's for the URL, and the shirts are just if you want to buy a shirt. It's not like we make
the
money on them.
cageclub.me shirt, the cageclub.me domain, the toofast2forever.com domain, they're 20. And this is, I think, because it's ecom, 37. So
Yeah.
Again, no pressure, but if you feel bad, toofast2forever.shop. Get a shirt.
I wear the Mia Letty one, that one all the time. People love it. Rachel wears it all the time too. She has one in gray, so I think that's a really cool one. But yeah.
We also have an email address, family@cageclub.me. No one sent any emails, but I do have a thing that I was just I don't know why this is happening. New $5 patron, meet my sister, Lindsay Lewandowski. I was why? I've said this before, I don't think she listens to the show.
Definitely not.
Your sister supports the show.
Yes.
My sister's I wanted to support. I'm cool. She's I wanted to give you more money, but I didn't want the pressure of picking movies. I was don't give us more money. Don't do this at all.
That's cute, though. Very sweet. Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah. I appreciate it.
So thank you to her. Shout out to her. So I have to add her into the intro.
She could sponsor the Too Fast Too Forever shop with her domain money.
Again, it's fine. We're not hurting for money. We do it all right on the Patreon. It's just I was like,
it seems like too much, man. Come
it's
on,
too much.
exactly. Like, you guys out there, you feel the same way, I'm sure. Like 30,
But
37 is just too much.
The issue is that, and I was saying this to Joe, I've said that domain on like 70 episodes.
I know. You're like you're shoehorned into paying for it because you keep referencing it.
I don't know, at some point, if they're like, it's $100, be like, well, I guess, I don't know, we have to, I don't know. I don't know.
It's awesome. I like it.
Anyway, email family@cageclub.me if you want to write in. Lane mentioned or tweeted at us, Mike Mancy told us this too, that there is the Army of Thieves movie on Netflix, which is a spin-off somehow, or in the universe of Army of the Dead, the Zack Snyder movie from earlier this year on Netflix. But Natalie Emmanuel Ramsey is in the movie. Lane says that they reference Zac Efron, and Mike Mancy says they reference Nicolas Cage as well. So it's really, Boy, Do We Have a Podcast for this movie, I guess, like a series of podcasts, right? So
for this movie, yeah.
But Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious. I have one thing I sent to you today, but other than that, is there anything you have seen about the Fast and Furious in the last week?
No, I haven't seen anything interesting about the Fast and Furious or anybody that's in the Fast and the Furious in the past week.
So this is something that we talk about fairly often because we know it's going to happen at some point. But I was like, I wonder, like today, this afternoon, I was like, I wonder if there's any news about Hobbs and Shaw. And like literally published this morning, The Rock was on Sirius XM. I don't know if he was on like a pre-recorded show or live on the radio or whatever, but they were talking about Hobbs and Shaw 2. And he wants to do something different. And he says, as a quote, when it comes to Hobbs and Shaw, which we loved making, there's an idea that I had that I called Universal, called our writer and our producer, and I said, I have this idea and this direction for the second movie, and I pitched, and it would be, without giving it away, it would be the antithesis of what Fast and Furious movies generally are, in that they continue to go on and on and on and on. In this case, I wanted to and still want to do the quintessential Hobbs movie that, again, without giving it away, you watch a man walk off into the sunset. I said, quote, this is a quote in the quote, we have an opportunity here to go against the grain and disrupt things a bit and create a movie within the Fast and Furious world that is unexpected. So no real actual news.
So he kind of wants to like make the Hobbsist Hobbs and Shaw movie and then have Hobbs retire from Fast and the Furious?
I guess so.
That's
I don't
kind
know
of
what this could mean. Yes. It seems like he wants to do one more of these movies and that's it.
You're The Rock. Obviously, you make lots of very great acting choices in the sense that you make tons of money and make tons of great movies. But do you really want to like give up the Fast and the Furious? Like, even if it's just Hobbs and Shaw, like, if you make 10 of these, we're gonna see 10 of these. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just not. Maybe the only thing I can guess is that he is actually harboring ill will with Vin Diesel and doesn't want to be associated with Vin Diesel's thing.
And he now has the ability to kind of kill off Hobbs.
Sure.
Which would be like a character that Vin kind of created, right? So
sure.
As we would imagine, that'd be kind of badass, right? You're like, hey, you know what? Fuck this character. He's mine now, and I killed him. Well, not killed him. It walks off into the sunset, retires forever. We
know we have another Hobbs and Shaw. I still hope that Hobbs is in 10 or 11. We know that Shaw is going to be in some way, unless that's the weirdest rope-a-dope, fake-out, whatever, right? But,
but I don't think so, because I think Justin Lin likes him, so yeah.
That's all the news that I found. Sort of not news, but I think it's other people just like, what's going on with this? And he's like, well, I got an idea, right? Like it doesn't even sound like they're writing it, right? Like just like I have an idea, I call the people and they're like, we could do it or whatever, right? So
yeah, it's not like, oh, we have the script down and like I wrote in this thing or I got this idea, whatever. Yeah,
right.
They're definitely, it's still ways away apparently from that.
Who knows? Well, I was looking at, so I have the laps and like, because we did F9 so many times, like this lap was almost 6 months long, but like a normal lap is like closer to 4 months than 6 months. Like this lap was our longest lap, only like 4 days longer than the Nico Kevo lap, which was long because we did so many extra spy racers like in between and like pit stops in between those.
Yeah.
But like normally a lap is about 4 months. This lap was about 6 months. And so it seems like this is going to be like the reason I'm bringing this up now, it seems like this is going to be the lap length for the foreseeable future until, 10 comes out or Hobbs and Shaw 2, but it seems like neither of those are exactly close, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Well, if there's no more news, then the only thing to do is to do the Too Fast, Too Furious minute 34, a minute I called Stinking Boats.
What do we got? That's good. Show me his partner. Cars. Where are the cars?
Stinking boats. Where are the cars? Come on, I need the cars. Where are the cars at?
So in this minute, the befuddled man finishes his walk across the street as more racers speed by. Brian and Roman get to the impound lot before any other racer. Brian rams the gate at the lot as he and Roman drive past a bunch of boats in search of Carter's car. At the house, Carter pulls up information on Brian and Roman find Carter's car and hop out of their cars as the minute ends. And this is a doozy of a minute for nothing that you just heard and nothing that I just said. But this is quite possibly the longest, most detail in a Too Fast, Too Furious, or even the first movie, minutes, because there are 6 different shots of computer screens.
In milliseconds.
I told you on Facebook,
yes,
I had to slow this down. So the way, like the program that I use just to loop it is I use VLC. Like I chopped it up into like minute-sized chunks. I just loop it. I had to slow the playback down to 0.12x, like 1/8 speed in VLC, because there are computer screens that there's probably like you see 4 of in about 3/4 of a second.
Yes.
And they're filled with information, I guess canonical information about Roman, and also other things, questions, I don't know. But there's so much here. So before we get into this, because
it's a lot.
It's too much, honestly. But what did you notice otherwise, other than anything of note aside from what's on these screens?
I have a couple things. Well, I have some things about the screens, but mostly this is at the Rickenbacker Marina at
The Rick and Morty Arena, okay.
The Rick and Morty Arena at 3301 Rickenbacker Causeway on Virginia Key. I linked to it so you can go to where the marina is. It does not look like it is that big to just be driving around it. I think that they were just doing circles, as they kind of allude to with the like.
Oh, so they're using a marina as the impound lot. Like all the boats are just actually there because it's near water.
They called it a marina, and they say that it's there. They just like put cars in the back of it, but like you obviously can't drive into that marina, right? Like on Google Maps, at least.
Right.
So
I mean, unless you ram the gate next to a security guard.
Yeah, exactly. But if you go down, like you get to the end of the marina like pretty quick, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like it's just like along this road, and then there's just like a marina. So the marina has to be close to water. It doesn't seem like it's like massive, like by any stretch, anywhere if you look at the map.
Sure.
And based on the thing. So it is cool though. You can see it. There's apparently like I saw it on that front sign there. There's like what is it called? Like Whiskey Joe's. Wait, Whiskey Joe's Bar and Grill. So I think that one day we should stop at Whiskey Joe's Bar and Grill and maybe get a beverage. It's appropriately named.
We sure do. Sure is. Teasing future things. We have other addresses to add to our world tour of Fast and Furious locations now.
What, me? Yes.
No, not just that. I mean, like things that we noticed on the screen. Like we have 2 new addresses.
Oh yeah, did you see I linked to them?
Oh no, good. Okay,
that's what I'm saying. I have some information about these screens. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay.
So then I got some stuff. One of the coolest things in this minute was the thing that lifts the boat is in car IMDb's. It's a Wiggins Marina lifter. I think that's it. Then other things I have from the screens. By the way, guys, Joey got all the screens. It's literally like 4 pages worth of screens and tables, and you did an awesome job. You crushed it.
There's 2 tables in here because I'm like, I can't reflect this in bullets.
No, it has to be tables. There are tables on the screen, and they should be tables. Perfect job.
Anything else before we do a deep dive into Rowan Pierce?
No, because we're going to take up a lot of time, I think. So go ahead.
So the first thing is it's the first and the final, because it's the first one, and then like when Carter, we zoom out to show, because it's all like computer screens, and then we see like Carter's face in front of it, and we can see the bottom of it. So this is kind of a 2-parter, but we see Roman's motor vehicle record.
License?
So we have the social security number.
Yes. It's his, like, license page,
Yes,
essentially.
which is basically a social security number is essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is not enough numbers, but also instead of the 1, it's an 8. So it's 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's
Yes.
like cool. Very cool.
Nailed it.
Birthday, April 12th, 1973.
Okay.
What does that make him? What sign is that?
Should be Taurus, right? Yeah, that's Taurus.
Is it a line? I don't know anything about...
Stubborn.
Yep.
Yeah, like, Tauruses are mostly known for being stubborn and set in their ways, and yes, not as, like, flamboyant, maybe, but yeah, mostly just, like, stubborn.
Cool. So definitely.
Yeah.
6'2", 181, at least on the license, which was issued in 1990, expires in 2001, so it's a nice long run. It's a California license plate, which makes sense because he lives in Barstow, etc. Then we have at the bottom of that screen, we have his driving record history, and this is the one part of this where I feel like the person got lazy. Because I don't know if you noticed, like, the whatever conv-rel is like the date of the thing, right? And they all happen on April 8th, which was my cat's birthday, or Valentine's Day. It's like, and different years. It's like 89, and they're not in chronological order. It's just like all over the place, but it's careless driving, speeding, but it's 10 miles and under. I don't know. Speeding again, careless driving.
Seatbelt.
A violation code of some kind. Seatbelt violation.
Yep.
Speeding, careless driving, speeding. Cool. I also don't know what Carter's gleaning from this. You're just like, yeah, okay, he's a person. He has a history. He has a record.
I think that that's mostly what it is. He's kind of like, which is so ironic that Monica's sitting there. He's like vetting him to see if he's like a real person.
Sure.
And not like an undercover agent.
Yep.
When Monica's doing it with him, and Roman is a real person who is like an actual scumbag, you know, character-wise. Like, he's a criminal and does all these things. So, like, obviously he's going to have a record and all this shit. We know this to begin with. They didn't even need to fake a record and stuff for him like they would have for Brian and Monica, because Roman just exists, so...
I'm guessing also it's part of, like, look how much access he has. Like, he's tapped into, like, federal data, or, like, you know,
we know that later,
databases.
Because he has the cop on his payroll that's the guy from, you know...
The rat guy, Rat Chest.
Yes, the rat guy, yep.
So then we have the CDCZ credit summary, but not like his credit score. This is just like his credit card statement.
from this month, essentially.
Instead of account summary, it's account summary. So that's the only the only actual typo I've seen. There's a lot of text here, but there's purchases, dates, his balance, and then where he is. So Joe, I asked you to come up with like a story because he starts in Los Angeles. He goes to Buster Video, which I love because of the Buster.
Yes.
Then he goes to Bloomingdale's.
Yep.
And then he goes to Florida and he goes to Kensington Rental. So I guess he rents a car, even though he's there with the FBI.
I have a different thought, but go ahead.
Okay. Then he goes to Blockbuster.
Yep.
In the city of Dade County. Apparently that's a city now. Then he goes to Structure Store.
Yep.
Then St. Mary's Hospital.
Yep.
Then Metro Call Parking. And then Bell Atlantic Cellular. Paging. Metro Call Paging, and then Bell Atlantic Cellular. And so this is over the span. He does 2 things in L.A., and then starting in Florida on February 9th. So we know now, definitively, according to the screen, this movie takes place in February.
Yes. That's what we learned.
Sure. Okay.
Valentine's Day movie for sure. He literally, it's over Valentine's Day, pretty much.
He has not, so either... We're close. Actually, so here's the thing. So the sale date, but then the post date. So we're after Valentine's Day because the post date, it's not pending anymore. It's like this post on the 21st.
Yeah, so we're post Valentine's Day, yes.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
So what narrative, and also just to let you know that we have, the previous balance was $1,741.21. Purchase in advance is $3,058.
But he paid it off in full. He paid it. He's doing good with this. He's going to get points for that. That's good.
Although his minimum payment due is $63. So,
well, that's because like the new statement posted. But it's okay. He's doing good. He's paying it off.
So what is Roman doing? Who is he shopping for? Why is he at Bloomies?
He's either renting a lot of porno or he's just a movie buff. And to be honest, I think that he's probably just renting like Friday on loop. Is what I can imagine Roman's doing. But he starts off in California. He rents a movie that night. Brian comes, punches him in the face. He's like, now I have to go to Florida. So he's like, I need some new fucking clothes if I'm going to be in Florida. Goes to Bloomies to buy himself some new Florida outfits.
On house arrest, though, remember?
Well, he's not on house arrest because once he sees Bilkins, Like, he's
Okay,
like...
so Bilkins and Brian escort him to Bloomingdale's.
Yes.
Which I want to see that movie.
Yeah. And Roman gets, like, some new, like, Miami fit, because he's, like, gonna be like, he knows it. He's gonna be, like, shirtless and stuff. He's like, okay, cool. Need some new clothes. He lands in Miami. And now, okay, Kensington Rental, I was trying to think of what this could be, too. There is a place called Kensington in Coral Springs, Florida. And it's about an hour north of Miami.
Okay.
And I think that's his apartment.
Oh, so he's renting an apartment in Miami?
Well, it's past Fort Lauderdale, but I could see, like, he needs, like, a home base, right? Because this is like the Brian has the house thing.
We see later in the movie that he crashes with Tej, doesn't he?
Yes, but that's for, like, the undercover part of the story, right? Like, he actually does need a place to stay, right?
So this is like how in the turbocharged prelude we see Brian's house, but in the first movie he's crashing at Racer's Edge.
Exactly. Okay. So, like, he actually does have a place that's, like, his place with
that
stuff.
He's paying for out of pocket?
I think he's going to get reimbursed for this, because if he got the clothes and the things.
Okay.
He gets the house. He immediately goes to Blockbuster because he's like, damn it, I don't have Friday rented.
I left Friday
here.
In California.
Yeah, I left Friday in California. So he rents it again. He goes home, goes to watch the movie, and he's like, I don't have a couch or anything. So he goes to Structure Store.
Number 245, in Miami.
Which I'm assuming is like a furniture store to kind of furnish this house that he rented.
I googled Structure Store number 245, and Google says it looks like there aren't many great matches for your search. So, like, it's not a real place.
So when I searched just Structure Store Miami, I got a redirect to a furniture store. Like, the first link on Bing was to a furniture store, and I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Sure.
So it's, like, called something else. I forget. It had, like, a fancy name, but it was, like, kind of a fancy furniture store. I was like, okay, he probably got, like, a couch, a couple tables, and stuff like that.
Because that is the same day. He goes to Structure Store the same day he goes to Blockbuster. So he goes, and then, yes. Okay.
Then, 2 days later, he's at St. Mary's Hospital. I think that he was too cheap to pay for the in-house delivery of the furniture. He tries to move it himself. And hurts himself moving the furniture in. So he goes to the hospital because he, like, hurt his back, his knee, something like that. He's like, okay, I'm in Miami. Now he's, like, been settled there. So, okay, he goes to the hospital in the morning because he, like, wakes up like, oh, fuck, I fucked myself up. Then he goes to Metro Call Paging. And at this time, Metro Call Paging was, like, a really big two-way pager company. So he needs something to text women.
Sure, of course.
Because there wasn't, like SMS wasn't really big, but two-way pagers were big, right?
Yeah.
So he gets a two-way pager, but he also needs a cell phone. So then he goes to Bell Atlantic Cellular, gets a cell phone too. He has a two-way pager and a cell phone. Now he's set in Miami. We start the day.
So he's in Miami for 5 days on here, and he's still, like, getting settled. So, like...
It makes sense. Rent an apartment and stuff.
If we think about what we've seen in the movie... He lands at the FBI headquarters.
Yeah.
And they're just chilling for a couple days until, like, Monica
they have to wait for the race.
We're ready.
They have to wait for the race to, like happen.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't seem far-fetched to me for her to be like, oh, we have a race on Friday. It's Monday. They just got here. Like, you guys have to, like, lay low and get the cars and, like, you know what I mean? All this stuff set up so that when Friday comes around, then you're ready for the race.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
So, I mean, obviously in the movie, it's like 3 minutes long and it feels like it's all the same day, but in reality, it probably would take a couple days, right?
Sure, yeah. And now we know. And now we're also more than a week after that, because if the Bell Atlantic Cellular thing is posted on the 21st...
Yeah.
So then we have his vehicle registration report from the DMV. There's something later. This is a 1990 Chevy with license plate 4TRB001, so I guess 4 Turbo, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's an address of South Bay Shore Drive, which you found that does not look like a residential location.
Which is what I wanted to point out. If Carter Verone was really doing his homework here, he would learn that 150 South Bay Shore Drive is just like a part of an avenue in Florida. It's just like on the street.
Okay.
So this car was registered to like a park, pretty much, right? Like it's across the street from like a hotel and like a restaurant and stuff, but like it's just a park. There's some clues here that Roman's not exactly who Roman thinks he is or says he is to Carter, but Carter's just trying to see if he's real and not paying attention, not digging deeper like we are.
We're doing more work than Carter Verone.
Exactly.
So then there is the release of Liability. This is like him, I believe, selling There's something at some point about, or maybe it's not yet. This is, I think he sold his car.
Yeah, it's just like, title transfers and stuff. Yeah.
Which is a lot of detail that, like, they're just throwing the screen up there. So sure, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then we have his California address, and then this is, I think, for a motorcycle, a Mitsubishi motorcycle. Because there's a thing that says maximum performance speed of motorcycles. You don't see the speed, but I think that this we know, we have his Barstow address.
Yes, and go ahead.
Is this the Demolition Derby drive?
No, open it. It's just a dead end at the end of a cul-de-sac.
Okay.
So it's not a house number. If you check this one too, it's nobody's house. It might be like the lot across the street at some point. The house that you go to is 901.
Okay.
So across the street we would assume is Evans, correct?
Probably, yep. Although I get a little, I don't know where, like, when a cul-de-sac, because this is the tip of the cul-de-sac, I don't know where you go from Evans to Oz, but maybe this is the pivot point.
Yeah, like when you do the loop, then the other side of the street would be Evans, is what I was guessing, and the other side of the street is undeveloped, so it's just like a plot of land in Barstow.
Yeah, okay.
Which could play both ways, because, like, Roman had the fucking RV camper that he lived in, so he could just, like, park that there, but I think more so it's just that it's a fake address.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, pointing it. Like, he knew that there's nothing here. So,
but, so who's faking the address? Is this the FBI falsifying records?
Possibly. So I was thinking, yes. That's what I'm thinking. The FBI is, like, falsifying some records. But I also wouldn't put it past Roman to be selling cars and just putting, like, whatever random fucking address he wants on it so he doesn't, like, they don't find him, right? And he was on house arrest and in jail and stuff, so...
Okay.
I would have questions about this, though. If I'm doing some research on two new guys that show up, and I'm a criminal, and I see all these fake addresses pointing to nowhere, I'd be like, why the fuck are you using all these fake addresses on your car titles and shit? Like, like, you got some explaining to do. But he could get out of it. He could be like, I was on house arrest, I was living at the Demolition Derby, that's my uncle's plot of land that he never put a house on, he died,
right.
Whatever.
So there's one more screen, and this is the first one I saw, and I'm like, I don't understand any. So this is page 2 of the Miami City Police Interpol data link, records and identification, the International Criminal Police Organization. And we're just dropped into the middle of a report on page 2.
Yes.
I think. Taken together, so this is in summation of whatever we didn't say.
Yeah.
Taken together, the observations suggest that Brian is more attentive during the structured instructional times when tasks are physically involving and instruction is fast-paced. She, has more difficulty attending during unstructured, more passive times of the day. She, also demonstrated a high activity level across both observations.
I think that's supposed to be he and be talking about Roman.
So Brian is a typo, she is a typo, and she is a typo.
No. This is weird, but it feels like they're comparing Brian, Brian.
Well, why? Why would that ever be?
Maybe it's part of their backstory that they were, like, arrested together. Like, that's how they know each other.
But I don't think they were arrested together. He arrested, Roman.
That's fake FBI reports. Fake FBI reports that they're dripping into the police.
Okay, interesting. Okay. So then this is an extremely egocentric individual, which tracks, who cannot take the criticism of others or tolerate shortcomings of any kind. He'd further be described as someone who requires instant gratification for his impulses, yes, and who can react violently when those impulses are not satisfied. He is glib and superficial, yes, but also extremely manipulative. He must be dominant in all relationships with women. Well, this is getting into some kinky shit here, because he can also become very possessive, irrationally jealous of those he feels are not spending enough time attending to his needs in his sexual relationships. And then it goes on from there. That it's not on screen anymore.
It's weird.
So
I don't know why we needed to include those, but
I don't know either, man. So there's a couple things at play here. So either in the universe, these are real police reports, which means that a cop in California or whatever wrote this thing, why they include it, or the FBI falsified this, why they include that.
Wait, but go back. Didn't he say, like, I know Brian from Juvie? So this could be like the Juvie records, where he did get arrested with Brian. Because Brian says, like, I know him from Juvie, right?
But don't those get expunged when you turn 18?
That doesn't mean they, like, delete them. That means that, like, they exist somewhere.
But Interpol has them?
Maybe. I don't know.
But then in the making of the movie world, someone wrote this.
Yes.
Ostensibly to some end game, and I don't know what that end game is.
Well, it's really not. They just needed to fill a page because you see it for like 0.2 milliseconds. Like literally, like it's a flash on the screen. No one was ever supposed to read these.
Right.
Ever.
Correct. Actually, the thing before, I don't think it's a Mitsubishi motorcycle. It says body type sedan, but I don't know why it says maximum performance speed of motorcycle. Who knows? I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know either.
We now know everything about Roman. We got a social security number, his birthday, his height, his weight, his addresses, his vehicles, his driving history. Worth checking out the Too Fast, Too Furious minute document pinned in the post on Patreon.
I agree. This was a really huge undertaking, and it's really, really awesome to read. And go watch the minute just to see how fast it flies by. Like, it is a flash.
So clearly the question is going to be, what is Roman's home address, right? Because that's a very fair question. 890 Arroyo Drive, 891 Arroyo Drive, 892 Arroyo Drive.
Yeah.
No, the question that I have, I think that's because again, I was like, my brain, I spent so much time doing this other thing. I think this is a fair question. Who gets to the lot holding Carter Verone's impounded car first? And the answer is Brian, because Brian busts through the gates.
Yep.
Brian, Fabio, Fonzie, or Roman.
I think it's a little bit easier of a question, but I think because of how much brain mush we went through, I think it's a fair question, and it's good. Because Roman could have got there first, Brian could have got there first.
I think it's a 50-50. I think it's Roman or Brian. If you guess the other ones, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else about this surprisingly interesting involving minutes?
No. It was a lot to undertake for you, so thank you. No, it's just a lot to think about. Glad that you got all that, though, because that'll be something we could reference back to. I think that's it feels like one of the most important parts of this movie, and a part that I totally did not remember happened at all. Like, I remember Roman's picture on the screen. I did not remember that there was words next to it. I did not remember there's 4 different pages that they flipped through.
The other thing I want to say is that Monica is kind of like lounging, like inside, just like so relaxed while this is going on. Like,
I'd be sweating.
I don't know.
Yeah,
well, she's one cool cucumber.
She definitely is.
All right, Joe, let's take a break and let us come back and talk about F9.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 208, F9, again. This episode is brought to you by The Jacob. The greatest luxury is the peace of mind you and your loved ones will have knowing you are living life to the fullest each and every day. Shout out to The Jacob.
Well, shout out to The Jacob, and welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. With us tonight from Mystery Science Theater, Cinematic Titanic, and Rifftrax, and now, this is going to give it away, her name, the Mary Jo Pehl Show and Movie Joe Night on Twitch. We have Mary Jo Pehl. Hello, Mary Jo.
Hi, how are you?
Well,
very, very good. Very excited to have you here. This is a big moment because you,
why?
You are now the second person to come on the show. So your name crossed our radar because last year, I believe, you joined the Maximum Film Podcast to talk about at least one of these movies.
Yes, that's true.
When this Fast and Furious kind of crossover big time podcast event crossed our radar, I was like, I want to talk to all of them. And so we had Drea on a month or two ago, and she was wonderful.
I love her. She doesn't know this, but she's my BFF. I've never met her in person, but she's so great. And I hope the next time I get to, I think she's in LA. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you. Yes, Drea, absolutely.
That's fantastic. And then spoilers for Next Lap. We're having Alonzo on for an episode Next Lap. So we're still waiting on Iffy, but you are now the third of the 4. I know that you're not a host of that show, but you were a guest. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I want to know everything. And then when we were emailing this week, you're like, I don't really have a huge history with the franchise. So please, to us and to our listeners, what's your history with the franchise? Because we made you watch F9, which is maybe the most impermeable, a lot of these movies could be somebody's first movie. You're like, I don't really remember the movies. I can jump back in. This is not one of those. So this is kind of a tall ask. And I am so sorry.
No. Joey, I forget which episode I was on Maximum. about, because I'm sorry, this franchise was not made for me. The storylines and the relationships are really complicated for me. Like, I feel like I need to be in one of those homicide rooms with all the pictures, and then they draw strings, or they make strings making the connections, because that's how I think, But I will say this: so I can't remember which episode I talked to Iffy and Alonso Andrea about, but that was my first viewing of a Fast and Furious.
So how do you get roped in then? If you've never, like, I was under the impression that, like, they're like, oh, Mary Jo is a fan, we're going to get her on here. So that's why I reached out to you. I'm like, she's going to be a great guest. I mean, I know in my heart already, based on, just the joy and the warmth that you're bringing. Like, I know you're going to be a good guest, but it's not the type of good guest that I was expecting you to be.
Oh, that's hilarious.
How do you get roped in?
Yeah, you are so funny. She's going to be a good guest. Oh, I'm so sorry. Because I'm tight with Alonso, and I think he was just he was looking to have people on the podcast, I think, if memory serves.
So if these are not your type of movies, and obviously you have a history with a certain type of movie, shall we say, with Mystery Science Theater and Rifftrax, and, like, you're not a stranger to over-the-top, maybe what some people would call bad movies. Mm-hmm. But, like, if you're just sitting down, you're like, I just want to watch a movie tonight. Like, if Fast and Furious is not your jam, what is the type of movie that you are, like, what do you, like, look forward to watching?
Oh, I look forward to... sadly, I'll back up a little bit. Sadly, when the pandemic started, I started binge watching a lot of series. And then I found myself not having the attention span for a movie. So then when I was on the podcast with Alonso, he's so incredibly smart about movies and pop culture and all that. I started realizing, I need to, like, get more disciplined about just watching a movie. So I am just tuning into, this is the long answer, I apologize. I am tuning
we got nothing but time.
Okay. I am tuning into things that completely escaped my radar. For example, and if it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime, I started watching Tommy Boy, which I'd never seen.
Okay.
And a lot of people make these references to it that they think I know what they're talking about, and people use the shorthand, and it's a Tommy Boy reference. So I thought, I'm going to,
You have no idea how well you're describing my dynamic with Joe. Where he's just, like, making jokes about things and laughing. And I'm like, is that a reference? I don't understand. Like, it's just, yes.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Cue in blank look right here.
Yes, exactly.
And I cannot get through it, but I am bound and determined to see it through to the end. No, seriously, if it's like 2 minutes a night, because here's my dealio. I have a real problem with follow through. So it's my goal to finish fucking Tommy Boy. I'm sorry. What rating is this podcast?
You can say whatever you want. You're fine. Yeah, you're fine.
So if something pops up, I'm just trying to follow my curiosity. I'm sorry. That's the long answer.
So what you're saying, the way that I'm going to interpret that is that we're doing you a favor because the Fast and Furious have escaped your radar. And so we're like, hey, there are so many more of these movies that you have not seen. I think I just looked it up. I think you talked maybe about the first two on that show. Does that ring a bell? Or is that still like...
No, it does ring a bell.
So, but that's still, there's 7 movies between where you were and where you are.
But okay, Joey, first of all, if that's what you need to tell yourself to justify this podcast, that you're doing me a favor, good for you. Secondly, I am, having watched these movies, and they are super entertaining. I am fascinated by the special effects, or the driving, she said. Sounds like my grandma, when they drive. But I am curious, because I've read a tiny bit. I am very curious about Tokyo Drift and Hobbs and Shaw. So I might tune in one of those tonight.
Cool. Okay.
That's
a
very
nice.
good
Okay.
segue. Yes.
So without further ado, What did you think of this movie, either within the framing of the world of the Fast and Furious that you know or maybe remember from last year, or just as a movie, or anywhere you want to go? Because this movie came out in June, and this is already the 6th time that we're talking about it. So really, wherever you want to take this conversation, please go for it, because I somehow have notes. I somehow noticed new things. I don't know how that's possible.
Right.
What did you did you like this? Is it possible to like this movie without the background? Did you like this movie?
I don't mean to play semantics, but let's say I enjoyed it. There were parts of it that I really enjoyed. I thought the action sequence when they are in Central or South America, I thought that was really fun. Like the whole bridge thing, I kind of love that shit. I'm both terrified but compelled. But I was kind of lost because I wasn't familiar with the character of Cypher, and I don't know what happened to Brian's mother. So I was kind of lost.
Yeah, so the Cypher character is the biggest disappointment in the franchise so far. So she comes in the last movie, she comes in at 8, and she's the big bad villain. And then at the end of that movie, spoilers to the end of that movie, she jumps out of a plane and is just like, can't catch me. And we're like, that sucks. That's not satisfying. And so here, we see her get captured, or we don't see her get captured, but she is captured, and then she becomes a villain. She's like on the run at the end here too. So like, she's been set up in this franchise as possibly the big bad villain. Like she's the one that they're going to eventually have to stop. And like, that's because there's only 2 more movies in this main franchise. This thing that's gone on for 20 years.
They're ambiguous about her. Like we don't know.
There's not much that we know about her that you did not learn from this movie.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
She's mysterious.
She's like a hacker. She's like this, super smart, super cunning, super ruthless villain. But like what we got in 8 is kind of what we get in 9 here too. And she did not exist before that.
I see.
She's going to come back in some form. Who knows? Because she runs away at the end of this movie again. You're not really missing much there. I don't know.
I'm always really interested in how, as these franchises grow, they are like a season of a television show where they fold in, they might reference something casually, and then I'm curious to know how the writers arrive at, oh, you know what we said in the first episode? We should explore that. And then somebody's brother shows up, like John Cena, right? So has he been referenced before, or is this new? Okay, right. So that kind of writing is really interesting to me. Let's have him have an evil brother. Let's have this backstory. So has the dad ever been referenced before?
Sparingly.
Okay. Has he been seen on camera?
No, never.
Okay.
He was dead from the first one. He's like, I remember him. Like, he's gone. Like, they reference him as in, like, he existed at some point, but we've never seen him.
Okay.
And we knew that he died on a racetrack.
Yes,
so
we
when
did
this
know
movie opens on a racetrack, we're like, okay, we think like the people who have been there since whatever, who are very invested, sort of know where it's going, but this is the first time we're seeing him. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, this is interesting, and I'm sorry to make this episode a
no.
Fast and
This
Furious.
might be helpful.
It's really
this
fun.
might be helpful too.
Fast and Furious primer, but I appreciate it because again, I'm really curious how these movies develop and evolve and have this spider web of because I was reading the wiki page, and there's, as you know, there are short films, there's the cartoon series. So that is amazing to me. That's fascinating to me. And how you keep feeding it and where it goes. And I look, like I say, I look at it as a writer and developing all that.
Well, what's fun about it, in a way that, like, it's maybe not fun for everybody, but it is essentially a $200 million movie each time soap opera. Right?
Yes,
where it's like
right.
everything is ridiculous. There's like there's now an evil brother, and there's like a dead dad, and there's like, in the last movie in 8, Vin Diesel's character Dom went evil because like he had to, like, his family was in jeopardy or whatever. The way that you're able to fold all this in is because like there are rules and there's continuity, but it's also like, yeah, but also like, what if we just went to space? And it's like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just go for that. Like, you kind of throw the rule book out a little bit.
Yes, right. And having such a not a lot of background in the previous iterations, I thought this space thing was a little ridiculous. Like, yes, the universe that they've created is a bit of a stretch, but that just kind of jumped the shark again with my limited knowledge. And that could have been a separate movie, not even a Fast and Furious movie, because there was some good gaggery in there. There was some good visuals.
So I think that the space thing is actually like a tongue-in-cheek pointing to the fans, because all the rumors were like, these movies keep getting so big and so ridiculous. The only thing that they have left to do is go to space. So when they made this movie, they put a segment in it about going to space to like laugh at the audience. Like, oh, ha ha ha, here you go, we went to space. Just to tease you.
Yeah, like a little tweak
yes.
To the, interesting. Okay.
Because even though they're all sort of crazy, the first four, so the two that you saw, and then Tokyo Drift, and then the fourth one, which is just called, confusingly, just Fast and Furious, which is kind of a reboot, they're all pretty grounded. Like this, they're not going to space. They're not doing incredible like magnets where it's like, does this really how physics work? Like the first four are really kind of about driving and about racing and about like a more kind of grounded thievery heisting.
Well,
and
then that whole subculture, was
exactly.
really interesting to me.
Yep.
And then starting in 5, and this is what Joe was just saying, it's like 5 is considered the best movie in the franchise by just about everybody, but it's where it starts to get a little bit crazy. Like it's still grounded and it's still somewhat realistic, but like the final action set piece is kind of insane. And then the 6th one is crazier, and then the 7th one is even crazier, and then the 8th one is even crazier, and now they're going to space. And so like what Joe was saying is right. It's people are like, well, how do you go? You have to go to space. And so they're like, well, we're going to go to space.
Right. We'll figure it out how to get them to space. What's the title of Fast and Furious 5? Because I'm really curious about. See, now you're getting me so involved in this. See,
See, good, exactly.
Just Fast 5.
Okay.
Just simple.
And 6 is Furious 6.
Fast and Furious 6.
And then Furious 7 is 7.
See, now if you lived in the UK, they would all just be the Fast and Furious 1, the Fast and Furious 2, the Fast and Furious 3. Like it's very simple over there. Here, it's nonsense.
Why do you think that is?
No idea. That's one thing I don't have a good answer about.
We still don't know the official title for F9.
I think it's F9. It might have a hashtag. It might not have a hashtag.
It might be called
F9 The Fast Saga. It might just be called The Fast Saga. I don't know.
Fascinating. Yeah,
It's been branded as all of them at some point on official releases.
And like in junkets and stuff leading up to it, like Vin Diesel called it multiple different things. It's like, well, you can't do that.
Get the messaging straight, dude.
Like Mary Jo, like we have, as you know, you're on it right now. We have a podcast exclusively about these movies. And when we did our preview episode of like what to expect, what we were hoping for, we're like, we don't know what to call this. And the movie comes out in 3 days. And like that's bad branding in like a time where like you kind of need to know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, but I know the feeling of just working on the fly, just figuring it out. But yeah. Okay, here's another question I have for Joey and Joe. And again, my limited database on these movies. In the 3 that I've seen, they have circled back at the very end to some sort of, it's all about family and it's a family dinner. So there's the food thing, but it's also a very Christian. It felt really Christian to me, maybe specifically Catholic. I'm not sure, but it's so interesting to me that they just kind of, for want of a better word, shoehorn that in at the end, family. And then people are saying prayers. And so I would love your thoughts on that.
We've had someone be a guest that specifically was like looking at this through the lens of Christianity and like the Christian messages in this.
Fascinating. Do tell.
Yeah, so there's like a lot. To think the thing you see a lot in F9 is the chain, and the chain is a cross, right? And the chain is a through line through the franchise. And you're right, the barbecues at the end feel very kind of like Last Supper-y, right? Like they have that kind of feeling.
You can't touch the food until you say a prayer. Until you give thanks to God for the food you're about to eat. Yes.
Yes, definitely that too. And I think that this one had the most like overt references to God in it. At one point, Dom says like God is in your heart or something to his son too. There's definitely strong Christian messaging in these. I don't know why. Like, it doesn't really like play a role besides like it's just sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is fascinating to think about, and yeah, it exists in them for sure.
And that guest we had on that talked about the focus on this, she wrote a thing, I think, for Yahoo about like how Dom, the Vin Diesel character, is like a Christ figure. Like he embodies it, he preaches the message, he sacrifices himself. And for, popcorn entertainment to be so like overtly religious in a time where like I think society as a whole is getting less and less religious, it's like, okay, like there are values here in a way that aren't in other franchises. And not that it's good or bad, and not that it's like something that people want or don't want, but it's just they've committed to a choice and a theme in a way that's like, okay.
Yeah, but it seems, and again, I'll stop saying this, but let me just say again, with my limited knowledge of the franchise, it seems kind of shoehorned in, and I'm also really curious about the moral choices of the characters, and you could always make the argument that they are making the best choice in the situation presented to them. But then to circle back to this idea of Christianity, it doesn't feel reconciled to me. And perhaps I'm reading more into it than it ever intended. Maybe it's just a throwaway to appeal to an audience. And I'm not trying to be cynical about it. I mean, all movies have something to that effect.
To read into it too much is precisely our job. So thank you for doing that.
You're in the right place.
Yeah, you're in the absolute right place. I don't even think it's like a draw to audience though, because these movies play so well globally. They've kind of like expanded beyond like any type of like they're just blockbusters, right? They're just big action movies. So like I'm having to guess that it's part of like Vin Diesel actually putting what he wants in the movie and trying to like convey some of these like Christian themes,
like
or
his
something
personal
like that.
Values.
Yes, I think that it's more of a vehicle for that, because you're right. I don't think that any of the characters particularly portray Christian values like in their choices themselves. It's just like the message is kind of a through line in the franchise. So it is interesting because like, there's like half naked women all the time, and like them like doing these kind of things, and they are criminals, right? They're thieves at the end of the day. So it's like I think it's just him just sprinkling morals throughout the films because he has such a large fingerprint in them now.
Oh, and maybe trying to sort of weight it a little bit, balance it, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe that, yeah. That would make sense.
Or offset the extreme values of these people.
In the 7th movie, we get a flashback to Dom and Letty's wedding. And it's like a secret wedding that we, again, didn't know about. But it is in a church, so Catholic. The wedding ring is the necklace, like the cross necklace that Dom wears that like goes back and forth. That now Jacob has a second one that I guess his dad had given both of them or whatever. Like that's the ring, and so, or it embodies the ring. That's like the symbol of their love, and so like they're not hiding it, and they're not masking, they're not like downplaying it. Like they're leaning into it, if anything. And so it's just a fascinating, because the thing about Vin Diesel as an actor and as a performer, as a creator, producer, whatever, is that, he started, I think one of the first things like where he was discovered in a way is he directed and starred in a film called Multifacial.
Right.
And I think that's what Steven Spielberg saw and like cast him in Saving Private Ryan, and like it went from there, whatever. But he's always been kind of like vague about his ethnicity. Yeah. And so I think that he is somehow able to represent many different groups of people, and there's something like that, just he is, a lot of people see themselves in him on screen, even though he's a movie star with a body that like nobody could really attain or whatever. He's approachable and like relatable in a way, which is fascinating.
No, I'm just thinking about that. That's really, really interesting.
It's strange because like I can't think of another blockbuster or like a franchise, not maybe like single movies, sure, but like where like religion is not like what it's about, but like religion is like throughout all of them. Yeah.
So what happens to Brian's mother? Not Brian the grown-up, Paul Walker, but the
Baby Brian.
baby Brian, yeah.
So Cypher killed her in the last movie.
Now, why did Cypher do that?
Because she needed Dom. So she kidnapped this woman who was in a couple of the previous movies.
Yep.
That had a very short-lived relationship with Dom.
And a baby that we, again, did not know about until the baby was a baby.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, see?
Because as you picked up on and as you've mentioned, like one of the themes in this is family. And so the last movie, 8, is like, why would Dom turn against his family? And the answer is for
More
other family.
Yeah,
for more family. And
right.
Cypher kidnaps the baby and the mother, and then kills the mother to be like, hey, I'm serious. And then at the end of that movie, when she jumps out the plane, Shaw, who, if you see through the credits here, the Jason Statham character, rescues the baby. And even though he's done some unforgivable things in the past, that is enough to sort of ingratiate him in and like welcome into the family for a barbecue at the end of the previous movie. And so like there's a whole like baby thing. Yeah, it's wild.
Right. So they really play fast and loose with shit making sense, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of suspension of belief for sure.
Right. Like what would the motivation be? And of course you can backfill in anything. What would the motivation be for that? And because he rescued the baby despite overlooking all the heinous things he had done previously.
Yeah.
Because there's something like around what Statham's character did that I won't this movie sort of spoils, but like there's a Han character who returns from the dead in this movie, a character you don't know because you only saw the first 2 movies, but is like a fan favorite in the 3rd movie and dies in the 3rd movie. And they've rewritten it so that like he could come back. Like the amount of logistical backflips they've had to do to like
totally right.
to save Han.
But somehow, somewhat, to a certain extent at least, makes sense. Like, in a world where none of this should make sense, it sort of makes sense. And I think that's a testament to, like, either the lack of rules or they actually kind of sort of have a plan. None of this should add up, and, like, it kind of adds up.
Well, you can always sort of backfill your justification or your rationales, right? And you're right. I lost sight of Han, and if memory serves, they say they're really surprised to see him, right? And then and then he says something. I didn't really blow up. Joke's on you, or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that piece of it.
No, I was just laughing because you saying it as someone that like that doesn't have the like the backstory and stuff. It is really nonchalant. He just comes like, joke's on you, like I wasn't dead, and like that's pretty much how they deliver it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and they just incorporate him like nobody's traumatized by the fact that he died. They've had their grieving process, and here he is again. Oh, hey, this is great. Let's move on. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know that world. Maybe it makes complete sense in their world, their social dynamic. What do I know?
We've essentially seen him die in like 4 movies.
Yeah, we have.
And they've rewritten how he died in 3 of those movies.
Yes.
And yet it still kind of makes sense.
When you say kind of makes sense, are you like just rationalizing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We're
sure.
it's Stockholm syndrome is really taking its
no,
hold.
and I don't mean that in any pejorative sense.
No.
Just really,
of course not.
We all do it. We get by. That's really, that's excellent.
Well, because the thing is, everybody loves the character so much that like any way you get him back, like losing him at the time that you lost him was just like, wow, this sucks. Like if you're gonna make 7 of these, we need this guy back. And so they were like, okay, we'll give you the guy back. And that's what they did. So
like he was such a beloved character instantly that they're like, okay, this standalone movie, Tokyo Drift, actually takes place after the 6th movie. So we're going to write 3 movies that they don't explain this, but they're like, this character that everybody loves, that is so cool, Han, obviously so beloved that he comes back in this movie. He just shows up in 4. It's like, well, I thought he died. And then they're like, okay, well, no, actually, then there's another movie, and they don't reference it. And there's another movie, and they don't reference it. And then only in the credits of that movie do they sort of then establish, like, okay, then this is where Tokyo Drift happens.
Yeah. Again, I want to be on that writing crew. I want to write that where you can just lay it out first and justify it later instead of thinking it through. Because actually, that is kind of how I operate. Like, oh, we'll figure it out at the end. Let's just have this happen. Let's just have this happen.
Yeah.
Because the interesting place that we're at now in terms of the franchise chronology is that up until maybe when they were writing this movie, there was no end, like finish line in sight. They were just like, we're nearing, like we're not going to go on forever, but we don't really have like an end game.
Right.
But now they've announced after this movie, they're going to be like spin-offs and stuff and whatever. But in the main franchise that follows this group of people, there are going to be 2 more movies. And so I wonder, to carry this conversation to its logical next step, if having not freedom, but like, okay, we have like 5 hours-ish of story to tell.
Right.
Is that going to help them or hurt them? Because it could go either way.
Yeah. No, I'm just rolling that around in my head. Yeah.
Because if you're as a writing group, I know that the writers come and go, and there's one guy who did most of the movies, he's not there anymore, or whatever. But if you've succeeded in having an open world sandbox where anything can happen, being penned in might hurt you. I don't know. Wow.
I really like how you put that, an open world structure. That's really interesting. And is your audience, do you just understand that your audience is super forgiving or just in on playing fast and loose with it all? Because are people just showing up for the action sequence, which is totally fine, and then it's like porn, like you kind of forgive that part, the plot part of it. I mean, from what I've heard, Of
course.
I think our great argument is that, like, there's a couple different dynamics of fans, but, like, there's some of us that you've spent 20 years here, right? So, like, you're kind of just forgiving in the sense that, like, you're going to see this out. It's been so long that you've been in it. Like, no matter what they do, you're like, okay, I'm with it.
Yeah, right.
And I think that there's other, like, I think that people that maybe just see 1 or 2 and sporadically, like, they could just be in it for the action. But I think that there is some undercurrent there that keeps people coming back. And it's, like, a lot of the non-action stuff, the more soap opera-y type.
Well, yeah, and again, Vin Diesel and this working out what family means. I'm sure that is appealing.
You know, the action sequences, we when we watch the movies, you can only see them so many times before being like, they blow up cars, right? But, like, there's a lot of, like, undertow and, like, character play and, like, weird stuff that happens that you're like, you know, why did somebody do this? Why would they do that? And the dynamic of, like, their found family and stuff like that, I think resonates deeper with a lot of fans.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And oh shoot, I just had a thought and I was thinking about that and now I forgot it.
While you think of that, so I want to bring it back actually to what you were saying at the top of the show. Like, you're not really, like, instead of movies, you're more into TV series and everything like that. And I'm thinking, so in terms of movie franchises, I can't think of many or any that have, like, chosen to end that weren't based on pre-existing material. So, like, the Hunger Games is 4 movies, the Twilight movies are 5 movies, the Harry Potter movies are 8 movies, but they're all based on books, right? Like, you can kind of, like, you could go on, but, like, this is the story we're telling, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I think the Fast and Furious choosing to end is kind of a unique thing that is sort of more suited to, like, prestige dramas, where it's like The Sopranos or The Wire or Breaking Bad or wherever. It's like, okay, we're in season 3, we know the show can't last forever at, like, a high quality. Let's do, like, 2 or 3 more seasons. And I wonder if, and I hope, I mean, again, I'm optimistic by nature. I also, in terms of these movies, I'm Stockholm syndromed out the wazoo. Like, I just am on board. But I also wonder, one of my favorite shows of all time, which is a show that, like, burned a lot of people, was Lost, where Lost set up all these mysteries and all these things. So, like, we got so many weird things happening on the island. And then when they were like, okay, we're gonna narrow down and we're gonna end the story, a lot of people were like, but what about the answers to the questions? They're like, we don't have time for that. Don't worry about that. We're going to tell this story now. And I think that made a lot of people understandably angry.
So wait, I didn't watch it. So they blew off what they had established, basically?
Not what they established, but like the first season. So, it's a plane crash. They crash on an island and there's like a polar bear on the island and there's like other people and there are people living on the island, like the science experiments. Like they keep throwing mysteries. And then the writer's strike happens at some point. So they kind of have to like rejigger what they're doing. And eventually they're like, we have too many open threads that we're just not going to be able to close. And so they choose some things they thematically, and I think for me, it was a satisfying ending, but a lot of people who were in it for the mystery were unhappy.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, with 2 movies to go, I don't know that you can please everybody. I think that they're going to have a satisfying ending for the family, because I think that more so than the action or the villains, I think that what matters the most to the creative team is that like Dom and the family are together.
Yes.
And I think that'll end in a way, but I don't know if you're there, if you want justice for whatever, I don't know that you're going to, I don't know that everybody's going to be happy, because I think it feels like there's still a lot to sort of work through with only 2 movies to go.
No, right. But you're also pointing to the nature of fandom in this day and age.
Sure.
When people get so passionate and they dig deep, and they also have the means to express their displeasure. I mean, when I was growing up, huge fan of the Carol Burnett show, or when I was a little bit older, LA Law, like huge fan. But we didn't have the resources where you could, like WikiFan and Wikipedia. We didn't have that. So you had to take it at face value and go by what the writers and actors seeded in each episode or the series arc, right? And if you're truly impassioned, you might dash off a letter to Universal Studios or whatever. Now it feels like, and I'm sure I'm stating the obvious, but now it feels like, because there's passionate fandom who really stick with it and feel really invested in it and want to volunteer that, for want of a better word, feedback. Am I making any sense? Do you know? I'm just contemplating that, like what that means to writers, because
they get feedback now. Like they have to respond to it. They at least hear it. It's not you're not immune to it.
Right. You're not in a vacuum, and and fans feel very invested. And when I was on Mystery Science Theater, that was sort of the ascendancy of the internet and chat rooms. And that was the first time I really experienced, or, a lot of people did, people being so passionate about something and feeling really invested in it. And when I took over for Trace Beaulieu as the evil nemesis, I saw a couple of chat rooms. Sometimes people would email or mail, regular snail mail, best brains about their displeasure. And they did not like me. They made personal comments about my personal appearance. It was all over the map. And to that point, I had just been doing my job. Like I say, I was in this vacuum where I just went to work at this office park in this studio with people I had fun with. That was my first taste of, oh, people are really watching this, and they have a piece of it. They feel like they have a piece of it. And then fandom obviously has just grown to that degree. People are interacting with their fans differently.
No, how do you feel about this? Do you think that's a good or a bad thing? Because now I want to know what you.
Or does it depend on the is it case by case basis?
I think it's a good thing. Like when I was doing Cinematic Titanic, we were touring, and we would do an autograph line afterwards. And that was just delightful. Like these people would come through the line and say these really lovely things to you that I had taken for granted before. As I say, I just got to do this really fun job, and it went out on the airwaves, but I went home at 5 and didn't think anything of it. And then you meet people who say to you, you're looking right at their faces and into their eyes, and they say, you got me through cancer treatment. I mean, not me personally, but Mystery Science Theater. Or I had this depressive episode and Mystery Science Theater was all I could watch. And it meant so much to me. And it just really grabs your heart. So I think it's a good thing, but like everything, I think there's a spectrum. A couple of weeks ago, some total stranger showed up on my doorstep wanting some MST memorabilia signed.
What?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
bad.
and I want to, yeah, exactly. And it's like, I want to be accessible, but there are limits. Like, I'm also a private person too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Am I making any sense? I feel
no,
like
you are,
you're
and I
making
think
total
I've
sense.
talked
And
too
if
long
it's-
and I get really self-conscious.
No, because it's something that we've talked about on here, that Joe especially has said that, like, these movies, to a certain extent, listen to the fans, and they sort of throw, like, different storylines out there, and then see what fans like or don't like,
right.
and then sort of shape the future movies around
Right.
that. But I also think, in a similar way to what you were saying, you know, something like this, like, you know, a podcast specifically about these 10 movies, that we do other things or whatever, is not going to appeal to, like, 98% of people on the planet, right? Because it's just like, I like those movies, but, like, I don't hear people talk about the movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like the fragmentation and the cultivation of fandom and interaction between creator and engager or fan or whatever, that it's cool. Like, it's a good thing, I think. But then if you have people start showing up at your door, that's where it kind of gets icky. But, like, I think if you're in person, like, it's not just like a faceless troll on the internet. It's someone who's paying money and taking time to come see you because they love you and the things that you do. And I think that's, like, something that, like, didn't really exist, or didn't exist
Yeah.
to the extent it exists today, you know, even 10 or 15 years ago, right? So, or maybe 15, 20 or whatever, like maybe 10 years ago, but, like, it's evolved in a kind of a really beautiful way.
Yes.
I think you're spot on.
Yes, totally. And you point up something, you're much more articulate than I am. There's also,
not.
there's this presumptive ownership, like it can veer into this ownership. And I don't know what that boundary is. All I know is that it is not a total stranger coming up to the home of a woman who lives alone, a woman who lives alone, anybody. But when you exist as a woman, you have a special awareness, a heightened awareness of this.
And I think, like, the difficult thing is that it's still evolving, right? Like, podcasts have been around for 15 years, but, like, especially in the pandemic, like, hundreds of millions of, like, I don't think that's an exaggeration, like, hundreds of millions of new podcasts began because
seriously?
people were at home.
Yeah, right,
And they're just
right.
like, I can do it. Like, I have an iPhone and I can pay 10 or 20 bucks a month to host it. And, like, why not? And so I think that, like, the medium is so relatively new, and, like, platforms that enable interaction, like social media platforms, but also like Patreon or whatever, that encourages kind of like two-way, where it's not just broadcasting, right? Like, it's not
Yes,
just like
right.
you're making a movie and like 100 million people go see it. It's like you're making a thing and you can immediately have people be like, I don't like that. It's like, well, I didn't really ask.
Yeah,
but, like,
no, Joey, right. It's
Okay.
like the firewalls don't exist anymore, or the
Right.
the walls of in access, if you will. Those don't exist anymore. And you're right. That's so funny, because sometimes I will post something on my Facebook where I'm not asking for anything, advice or anything. It's just intended to be
thought.
entertainment. And then people start lecturing you about, you know, well, seriously. And it's like,
Yep.
I did not ask. And I think we're in this culture where everybody feels like they, not only do they get to weigh in, they are needed to weigh in.
Yeah.
And I try and breathe and just understand that if there's something that inflames me or whatever, I don't necessarily have to contribute because everybody else is contributing. I can just listen. I can just hang with it. So yeah, everybody's weighing in, everybody's commenting, everybody. So you have all these opinions in this giant stew, and they're all kind of given the same weight because there's so many of them, and it's so democratized. And I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm going to shut up now, but I'm just thinking aloud.
I think that all the time. Like, yeah, everybody has a platform now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is something that we never had to address before, and it makes things very interesting.
Yes, and when you talk about everybody starting their podcast, it is kind of cool because you get to do this podcast, you get to pursue your passion. There are so many niches for people, so it's really great that we have all these ways, the podcast, your YouTube channels. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool.
I don't really want to go back to the movie, but I feel like I don't know. Like that was a very good. Is there anything else about the movie that you wanted to bring up? Any other questions you had? Because like I want to take credit for like inspiring fandom in you, and this is a better conversation than we could ever have about F9 just as a movie.
Yep.
But I want to send you away from this podcast with all the tools and the knowledge you need to absorb as many more of these as you possibly want to.
Joey,
so
what else? So sweet.
We're nothing if not giving. What else? What else do you want to know? Backstory, questions, because like you kind of spoiled things by watching this movie, but also not really, because like a lot of it, like you said, is about the spectacle of it all.
Yeah, that's a really good word. No, I don't because I'm very linear. What would be really helpful is, as I said at the top of this, is if you guys did a video where it's a homicide detective thing, because I need dots connected for me. I can't remember who people are or what their connection are, and especially those movies are so noisy, and I have auditory sensitivity, so during those really noisy parts
They're loud.
Oh my gosh. Although I bet they're really fun to see on the big screen. See, I was watching on my laptop, so I bet they're really fun to see on the big screen, but I would turn down the sound entirely because, what dialogue are you missing? Really, right. when someone's careening under the 18-wheeler. So, yeah.
I do want to, unrelated to that, I'm just looking at the notes that I took. I do want to make a note that I can't believe we've talked about this movie as many times as we have without mentioning that we now canonically, in the Fast and Furious universe, have a movie where a character uses the word shart.
Really?
Oh, was that in this one?
Yeah,
this
I
sounds
rewound
familiar.
it because I was like, I can't imagine that I heard that right. Because who uses the word shart? So when Roman and Tej are in outer space, and Tej is eating candy and whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because he's nervous.
He's like, my stomach or whatever. And Tej says, "If you shart in this Fiero, I swear." And then Roman, rightfully so, Tyrese says, "Really? Really, Tej?" Which is like, why are we including that? Why are we putting the word
interesting? The
hybrid melding of shit and fart, a word that is disgusting that nobody really uses. Why are we putting that in a movie that will last forever?
I don't know.
I am really curious that this is what you're fixated on in the entire oeuvre and all the inconsistencies and randomness that really got under your skin.
So here's two things. So there's two sort of like very big questions that are about very small throwaway things in past movies that we have become fixated on because we just will never have answers.
Oh, do tell.
Okay, so in the first movie, there's a line where I don't know how much backstory to share here, but okay, I will.
You saw it. She saw it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But I don't remember it. I mean, it's just a series of So don't rely on me, but continue.
It's also, keep in mind, Joe, like she saw it, but it's also, this is not a thing that people would remember, right?
Nobody thinks about it but us, but yes.
So in the first movie, there's a barbecue, and Brian and Mia, Paul Walker and Jordana Brewster are they're doing dishes in the kitchen, right? And Vince, who's kind of the asshole bully of the group, comes in and starts picking on Brian. And Mia says to Vince, "Hey, V, what was the name of that restaurant you wanted to take me to? You know, the wood tables, the little red candles, the picadillo, the food all over the place." And Vince goes, "Oh, cha-cha-cha." And Mia says, "Oh, Brian, you can take me there." So Joe and I have been breaking down these movies minute by minute. So in addition to doing these, on loop, every episode in the intro, we do the next minute of a movie. And so we get to this part, and we're like, what the fuck does food all over the place mean? So if we're like,
what does
hey,
it
Mary
actually
Jo,
mean? Like, what
thank
does
you
that
so
mean?
much for joining us. Next time you're in town, let's take you out. We got this perfect restaurant.
Yeah.
We're going to bring you there. It's got wood tables. It's so nice. It's got these little red tables, or little red candles. It's got food all over the place. If you're hearing if we're describing a restaurant you've not been to as having food all over the place,
Is that appealing?
what does that mean to you?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Well, because I ask questions all the time, I'd say, what do you mean by that? No, have you gotten to the bottom of that? Because I can.
No.
Okay, so
We
I'm
ask every guest.
Okay, I'm wondering if she improv'd that line or the line escaped her, so she did the best she could with it, and they just kept it.
Either way, it's in the movie that has lasted forever, and that has become one of our burning questions. Like, if we ever speak to Jordana Brewster, she won't remember this, but we're going to be like, what did you mean?
Okay.
Because we need to know.
Do you think she was referring to a buffet? Is that what
They go to the restaurant, there is no buffet. So we see
Right.
the restaurant, there's not a buffet.
Okay, so you have
that's a
explored
reasonable
that.
answer.
Okay, you have explored that possibility.
Yes.
Okay.
What else could it mean? Like, do you think in your head, when you hear that phrase, is that a positive or a negative?
I'm going to go with it's a positive, but I'm also wondering if it's a, I don't know if the word is right, a vernacular or a shorthand that you get when you're with your group. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yes,
Maybe.
yes. In-house kind of like,
This is our
is
language. This is how we
Yes.
describe a great restaurant.
yeah.
Yeah, it's got food all over the place.
Yeah.
We got chairs all over the place. We got money all over the place. It's just, it's there.
You
Yeah,
know, Jody,
exactly.
when you
Okay.
just said food all over the place, I had a negative reaction to it because it sounded like it was all like the floors. And
Yeah, it's like dirty.
yeah,
yeah.
exactly, Joe. It sounds dirty.
Like they don't clean it.
Or like, what am I sitting on? Do you have a bar rag? I could at least. Yeah, that's so funny.
That's one thing we become fixated on. Another one is in the 7th movie. Roman is recapping all the work he has done to help the family succeed. And he says, I shot that shit out the sky, babow. Or I took that out the sky, whatever. And Brian, Paul Walker, says to him, the only thing I've ever seen you take down is no knees Denise at prom. And Roman says, really, Brian? You're going to do that right now? And the table laughs, and then they move on. We've wondered what no knees, describing someone as having no knees means, because I think there's a certain sexual connotation to it.
Like,
if
I
your
can't
brain
put my
goes
finger
that way.
on what it is.
But it could either be that she loves doing a certain thing, or she never does a certain thing. But again, it's one line in a movie that 99% of the people who see this movie will never think twice about. Yet has become a narrative through line on this podcast because we want to know what no knees Denise,
who
what that
is
means,
Denise?
and who is Denise. Because it's a joke that is like back
They
and
laugh
back and
at.
back and forth. They laugh at and then never mentioned again.
Well-
so if we describe someone as saying no knees, what does that mean?
Okay, well, first of all, I think it sounds like a group shorthand, like everyone knew who this girl was in high school, or they've
Yep,
heard
for sure.
they've heard other people talking about her. But I'm going to throw another possibility your way for the no knees, and maybe it's because she had chunky legs.
Okay.
Yeah, so like it's just like calf and thigh, but
Right.
the knee gets lost.
Right, so they're making fun of her build, or they're
Yes.
I don't know, because if you take it the sexual route, to me, I would guess that she won't do that thing.
Right.
More prudish.
Yes.
Like she won't go down to her knees.
Right,
Yes.
right. Fascinating. You guys are hilarious. It's so funny.
So that's I wanted to give that background because like that's why I'm focusing on the word
The
chart.
chart, yes.
Because how many times can you say, yeah, they took a car to outer space or whatever, or there's magnets. Cool.
Right.
It's the lines from just like, oh. Huh. Or like when Dom, I don't know if you watched the theatrical or the director's cut, but in the director's cut, there's a scene where Dom is talking to his son, and he's talking about how like adult Brian, Paul Walker, is watching him or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, if you count to 1,000, I'm not home, because he's like, I'll be home very soon. Just count to 1,000, I'll be there. But he says to him, if I'm not there by the time you count to 1,000, you can have a second treat before dinner. And it's like a very sweet moment. But I'm like, wait a minute. Why is he having any treats before dinner? Why is it not like a second dessert? Like, why are you allowing like snacks? Like, just save your appetite and then have a second dessert or something like before dinner. Like, it's just, again, those are the notes that I'm taking on the sixth time through the movie.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Joe, I don't know you well, but I care about you very much, and I think you're in too deep.
Oh, we definitely
I
are.
think
There's no question
in
about that.
too deep, and I think Joe is with me when we say you are in.
Oh, I'm right there too. I'm just giggling because we've had these same thoughts and conversation. Like, yeah, we're so deep. This time, when I was watching it, I was thinking, because something that didn't make sense to me before was, why is Dom's dad throwing this race when he is trying to become a professional race car driver?
Oh, because there's a scene where he's on the phone, like he's getting paid to throw the race.
Yeah.
I know that, but why would you do that? Would be like why would you throw any sporting event if you're not a professional and you're trying to become a professional at the sport?
Well, if the bank is about to seize your house and you're in like $100,000 in debt or whatever, and this guy's like, hey, throw this race and I'll take care of that for you.
That, but also, like, at this point, I noticed that Buddy beforehand, like, right before Jacob pulls the gas, like, whatever, like, mixes air with the fuel line, whatever. Before he does that, he says, like, oh, you don't even need to finish. Like, the whole series is locked up. Like, this race doesn't mean anything. And they just, like, says it real quick. And I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense for me now that, like, he doesn't... There is no stakes in this race. So that's why he can throw it.
Yeah, it's just like, the Steelers lock up. They seal the AFC North.
Yep.
It's week 17.
They sit all their starters. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like, okay, they could still win, but it doesn't really matter if they win or lose, so you bet against them or bet with them.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
I think so.
I think so, too. So that was, like, the first time I got clarity on that, because, like, at one point I was like, why would you be throwing this race if, like, you're trying to get into the Bush League? But
yeah.
Because we needed a central conflict. God,
yes.
You guys are so dumb. Do I have to explain everything to you?
The only other note that I took this time of note was that Dom uses grenades at the end like he's playing Halo. Like, I don't know if you've seen like trick videos of people like throwing a grenade and then driving a warthog to like propel them across the map.
Yeah.
But he's like throwing a grenade like while this thing is skidding down the mountain.
So that it blows up and shoots the thing.
In the right way. He's doing Halo trick videos, but in the movie. And it's so cool.
It completely escaped me. All that completely escapes me.
I think that his son was probably watching like Halo trick videos on like YouTube, and he walked by like as he was doing it, and he was like, that's pretty cool. Like, I bet that we could do that in the movie. He'd be like, yeah, maybe. And the last thing that, because we were talking so much about Jacob and Cypher and like where they were and if they knew each other and these kind of things, there was like a point where Cypher says, I should have called you instead of your brother to help me last movie. Like, you're so good at being a spy. And he says, I don't work for the competition. So that establishes that he knows who Cypher is, and that they were competing with each other in some way. And it kind of puts Jacob in like a light that he still considers himself good. Like, he was working towards the good if Cypher is bad by everything we've seen.
I guess.
Like, do you think that, like, if they're competing, she has to be bad and he has to be good, right? Or were they just competing at the same kind of, like, espionage stealing things?
I don't know. I don't know that we have enough anything on Cypher to know definitively. It's it's an NEI when you're growing up in math class and science class. Just I don't have enough information. I can't answer that question.
Well, as you're describing it, again, circling back to what we talked about in the middle of this show, they are laying out these threads, intentionally or unintentionally, that could go anywhere. Like, hey, let's pick up this thread in 5 movies, or I know the series is ending, but they are leaving a lot of things open-ended.
I always say that. I think that in all of these movies, especially this one, they've given themselves a lot of outs.
Yeah. Perfect.
to
Yes.
just be able to go anywhere. Like if they want to follow one thing, if maybe the fans said that they really liked something about the movie, they gave themselves a place to go, like a starting point from there, a jump off point.
Right. And again,
For sure.
motivated or fueled by any sort of reaction. Oh, we'll pick up this then. So why not? Yeah.
That's what I think too.
Mary Jo, are you ready to find out which Fast and Furious character you are?
Yeah. Let's do it.
So this is a BuzzFeed style or J14 style personality quiz.
Excellent.
The questions and the answers have nothing to do with the movies, so you'll get an answer that is likely a character you don't know or barely know.
Okay.
But we also comes with a description that hopefully will sort of embody your spirit and who you are. So are you ready to find out? 7 questions. They're multiple choice. If you want me to repeat the answers, I can. No pressure, no wrong answers. You can explain yourself or not.
I feel ready.
Question number 1, how fast are you? NASCAR, roller coaster, Lamborghini Murcielago, Toyota Prius, Vespa, or Razor scooter?
I'm more Vespa, but not for speed,
Okay.
for fun. So, yeah.
Okay,
That
cool.
works. Yeah.
Question number 2, you know this is coming. How furious are you? The Hulk, Kylo Ren, Christian Bale in that one movie set that one time, Mel Gibson, Charlie Brown, or Jack McBrayer?
I'm probably more Kylo Ren.
Okay.
Yep.
Pretty
Yep.
angry. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Mary Jo, we're having a barbecue. How are you helping? Are you on the grill?
Okay.
Are you saying grace? We talked about that a lot tonight. Are you kicking back with a beer? Are you babysitting? Are you being the entertainment? Or are you sneaking a snack?
Sneaking a snack.
Cool. Okay. Question number 4, you've got time to kill. What are you doing? Are you grabbing a bite, working on your car, hanging with friends, drinking a beer, working out, or doing some work on your computer?
Hanging with friends.
Describe your wedding. I'm never getting married. It's just me and my partner. It's us and our families. It's a backyard country affair. Everyone I know is there. I don't remember.
It's just me and my partner.
Congratulations, you just won the lottery. What are you buying?
Okay.
Your own garage, a private plane, I'm gambling it all away, your childhood home, a fleet of cars, or a new life.
I guess a new life. That's pretty open-ended, so I'm going to say
Sure.
a new life.
The final question, this is going to determine everything. What is your drink of choice? Belgian ale, Corona, something fruity, water, whatever's cheapest, or just, Joe's getting a drink. Just get me one of whatever you're having.
Just give me one of whatever you're having, because I like to I like to try new stuff.
Joe, do you have any guesses on who she is? There's 2 characters that are definitively leaps and bounds above the rest.
I'm gonna go Mia then.
No, Mia's she's top 5 or 10. Mary Jo,
Yeah.
you are fan favorite and returning to this movie. You are Han.
No, hey, wow, I'm honored.
So let's see if this describes you. You are the ultimate example of cool.
No.
Even when things are spinning out of control, you keep calm, find a way through, and look smooth doing it. You know the secret to life isn't what you have, but who you keep around you. Your family means everything. They're a reflection of you, so you choose them carefully and are always there when they need you. And you drive like the wind blows. Does that at all sound like you, or is that not you?
No, that's so poetic, and actually I'm pretty... I go off half-cocked a lot, and I do have a temper. I don't play it cool. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Family is important, but I don't think... I think this profile poll might not be too scientific, because it doesn't sound... I don't know. It didn't work on me, I guess.
Well, we found a quiz originally. Like, Joe was like, this is a good quiz. We used it for like a couple months, and then we're like, this is bad. We can do better than this. Like, it was just like, pick a car. All right, whatever. And then we made this one, and it's ever evolving, ever changing. But it's also kind of horoscopy, where it's like,
yeah,
it
I love
kind of
it.
applies to everybody, right?
No, that's really cool, though. I love that.
And you are only our second Han. You are first since Kara, way, way back. So congratulations. You are, Han is literally, like,
He's
I would say
loved.
maybe
He is loved,
half
yeah.
of all fans, probably their favorite character.
Well,
So
then I'm honored. Absolutely.
truly a fan favorite.
Cool.
We have one more quick game to play. This ain't no 10-second race, a.k.a. boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Come and check out our show. Yeah, yeah.
So, Mary Jo, this is where we go on twitter.com,
Okay.
a.k.a. the Bird app, and find any tweet from anybody that you don't know
Okay.
who's tweeting about the Fast and Furious or maybe about the movies or the actors or whatever. Send the tweet to us, and we're going to respond from the @TooFastTooForever Twitter and just tell them to watch the show or listen to the show by saying, boy, do we have a podcast for you. So I'm going to review last episode's tweets. So
Okay.
I found Trey Armstrong, who was responding to Terry Kinnair, who ranked the 10 movies. And Trey said, your ranking of Too Fast above 9 is the true tragedy. Not to mention 9 is better than 8.
Oh my
But your
God.
first 5 are legit. And we said, these are all correct takes. It's hard to rank 10 perfect movies. Boy, do we have a podcast for both of you. And very exciting, they both liked the tweet, so I get 2 points.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
And Mary Jo, I am letting you know that this game is immensely difficult for no reason.
Okay.
There's no pressure whatsoever here. The fact that I got points is a minor miracle.
Okay.
Joe, you found Steve Huff at Steve Huff. Instead of Hobbs and Shaw, it's Hobbs and Shaw, about time-traveling 17th century philosopher Thomas Hobbes and G.B. Shaw trying to retrieve some kind of mechanism from supervillain Leonardo da Vinci. I should probably keep that to myself and write it up, but I've given up. And we said in the episode we're recording now, for the first time ever, we've had this exact revelation. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. It got a like, but it was from Wells, so that does not count.
Damn it.
No points.
Okay.
And then our guest last time was Tori, who found Garth at Turgid1M, and it was a meme of Dom reaching from the first movie, and then reaching more, and then he's reaching to scratch a kitty cat. And we said, don't waste one more life. We've got the perfect podcast for you. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Nothing. Unfortunately, did not care. So I got 2 points. Joe got none. Tori got none as well.
Okay, I'm sending you this in the chat.
Can you please read who this is from and the account and then read the tweet, and I will respond to it.
T'Challa Stan, Kamik J03, the worst action set piece in the Fast and Furious franchise. So it's picture-based, photo-based.
Okay.
So is that okay?
That's
So-
totally fine.
Yeah. I don't know what the reference is because I haven't seen those pictures.
Well, we can explain it. We can explain
I'm
it.
like such a moron.
Oh,
I don't know
T'Challa
what
Stan.
these
No,
pictures
T'Challa
mean.
Stan.
Okay.
T'Challa Stan writes about these movies a lot, and it's a Black Panther and Fast and Furious fan account. So,
Oh, sorry.
it's
Okay.
No, that's fine. No, this is this is somebody who should listen to our show.
Yes, definitely.
And so the pictures are of the submarine in Fate of the Furious. It's a nuclear submarine
Okay.
as the cars are driving away. He responds to his own tweet that says, everyone knows if they wanted to do a snow set piece, they should have first had them drive down a mountain with an avalanche on their asses. Then you do the sub once they make it down.
I see that. Yes. Now,
That
see,
makes
now
sense.
I'm curious about this one because I love submarine shit. Like I'm fascinated with submarine and submarine movies.
I'm going to say, you're not wrong, but we love submarine shit. To quote you, boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Very fair. I like that one.
Joe, did you find one yet?
Yes, it is from RC DeWinter at RC DeWinter. Vin Diesel wants the next Fast and Furious movie to be a musical. Jesus Christ, supercar. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
That's very good.
Yeah, well, with all the religious themes, we think this would work. Plus,
Yeah.
your sense of humor fits right in. I was looking for like some Christ reference for Fast and the Furious, and it was all Jesus Christ. They're still making these movies. Is all the tweets until I found this one. Also, that didn't get enough traction. You deserve more credit for how.
I'm saying the religion element is spot on, and so is your sense of humor about the movies. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Perfect.
It's a wild name. I'm going with Jonathan 00101225.
Okay.
Hashtag release the PPV cut for the Crow City of Angels. Sure. Kinda loved F9. Fast 5 is my fave of the series. Too Fast and Tokyo Drift are delightfully bad in the best way. Haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw or Fate yet, but I kind of adore this whole series and wouldn't mind watching them again after seeing the new one. Still had fun after 9 movies. And then Chris Evans, not the Chris Evans, but that Chris Evans says, F9 was just plain fun. IMO, I didn't even mind the space stuff. And they talk back a little bit back and forth. And
Okay.
I'm going to say, once the same thing was last time, boy, do a podcast for both of you. Like, it's just, people, like, these are the people, this is low-hanging fruit. These are
Yeah.
people who should listen to our podcast. If they're
I
on
agree.
Twitter
Sure.
tweeting about these movies,
Right.
why are you not listening? Also, the other thing, that Chris Evans 0 on Twitter is followed by Whataburger. So,
Well,
jackpot.
there you go. Hello.
Are you a fan of Whataburger?
No, but I'm just so impressed that a major fast food outlet, like what I wouldn't give for Whataburger to follow me. Wow. That just seems so impressive.
Thank you, Mary Jo, for joining us, for watching a very long movie in a franchise that you were mostly new to, but for being a great sport and having a really good this is a better, more fun conversation than we could have had otherwise, because it wasn't really about the movie. Like we've talked about this movie 6 times in 4 months. It was nice to shake it up. So thank you for being here. Thank you for helping us on this different kind of discussion, and thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. It was really fun, you guys. I appreciate it. My pleasure. It was really fun.
Good.
So if people want to find you and not in person at your house,
your door, please.
I so
appreciate that. If people want to find you online or your work or wherever, where can people find more Mary Jo Pehl?
My website, which is never updated but has contact info, mjpehl, P-E-H-L, all one word, .com. Mary Jo Pehl on Facebook, Mary Jo Pehl on Twitter, and my Twitch show, which is The Mary Jo Pehl Show. Then once a month I do Movie Joe Night, which is on Twitch too. That's where I watch a really bad movie selected by the audience that I've never seen, and I don't do any research on. I don't prep or anything, and it's a movie watching party that people just love to throw shit at you when you've already spent your whole life watching shitty movies, and it's a blast. So thanks, you guys.
Well, thank you.
But hopefully, I just want to say, Mary Jo,
yeah,
before you go, I hope that one day you come across a Fast and the Furious movie on TV and it's halfway through it and you're like, you know what? I'm actually just going to leave this on. That's all I hope we got out of today.
I'll report back to you.
Thank you.
So next week, Joe, we have our tune-up relap recap, the end of the lap. We are looking back at the lap that was lap 9, the modern car movie lap. I thought we had a better name for that, which is modern car movie. It's the Jacob lap.
Yeah.
Also, where's Jacob at? There is a thing that he says that he's been looking for the key for years. He's been looking for L for years. So maybe that's what he's been doing. He's just been looking for L, right? So wherever he is.
Possibly, yeah. That's
where he is. But then next week also, so that's going to be on the main feed, in the Patreon bonus episode, we're doing a movie that I've never seen, but I'm very much looking forward to. We're doing the Andy Samberg vehicle, Hot Rod.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen Hot Rod?
No, I have seen parts of Hot Rod, but I knew what it was, yes.
I think, supposedly, it's great.
Okay.
Whether or not we think it's great, we'll figure that out. But I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
But yeah, that's that. So thank you once again, Mary Jo. And for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at TooFastTooForever.com and our store, goddamn the store URL renewal fee, at TooFastTooForever.shop. And come back next week for our tune-up relap recap and our bonus episode on Patreon about Hot Rod. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
And that was the Fast and Furious' newest, biggest super fan, Mary Jo Pehl, and we'll tell you all about it
when we see you again.